Hey, Tom Beal here. I hope your day is going well. Here we are on Friday. It's almost 1 p.m. Eastern time here, and it's almost Christmas, right? For those who celebrate Christmas around the world, you are recognizing that's right around the corner, literally. So next week, that will be the celebration. Many people around the world will have a few days off of work, all that fun stuff. And at the same time, a week after Christmas is the new year, right? And that's the time when we all think about, okay, great, where am I and where am I seeking to go? So there's a statement that you may have heard many times from me and many other people similar to me share the message that if nothing changes, nothing changes. Right? That's just the bottom line. How foolish would it be to think that we're going to get different results if we're not taking different actions, if we're not thinking different thoughts, if we're not speaking different words, if we aren't setting different intentions, if we aren't clarifying the dreams that we are suppressing and letting those dreams go from being suppressed to shine and let them out and take the improper action forward, because improper action always beats proper inaction. The perfectionism that holds you back. So that old saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes, reminds me of a conversation I had years ago while working in a factory after being the national bicycle freestyle champion, after going through another change of my routine as a child, with a lot of the divorces and whatnot that were occurring. One of the divorces occurred, which took me from being that national bicycle champion, signing autographs and traveling around and doing shows and having sponsors, to my mom, who was the manager of that, having a little bit of a breakdown, and the team kind of falling apart from there, the sponsorships going away, the engagements of the performances going away, and me ending up at this factory and working there and rising through the ranks. And thankfully, one of the gentlemen there pulled me aside and said, "You don't belong here." And I took it personally. Like, what do you mean? I'm a hard worker. I do, really good work here. I take pride in what I do. He said, "You remind me of myself 20 years ago. I heard you say you had a girlfriend. I heard you say you're thinking of moving in. I heard you say all this. Like, look, here's what happened to me 20 years ago. I moved in with my girlfriend. She became pregnant. The bills stacked up. And 20 years ago, I was at this factory, and I'm still here 20 years later. Do you want to be here 20 years later?" And I said, "Man, I never thought about it that way." He's like, "Well, I'm bringing this up to let you know you don't belong here. You're in essence too good to be here." And I never thought about that. So if nothing changes, nothing changes. Had he not had the courage to speak out to me in that manner, I could have just been going one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and more of the same. If nothing were to change, nothing would have changed. I could have woken up 20 plus years later at the same place. And I'm not saying it's bad and that's no good for certain people, but for me, it planted the seeds so that when I got that second job, I was working there in the factory from 3 to 11 p.m. I got a second job at a mall, Eastview Mall, and that's where the Marine recruiter came by and asked the question that was very important as well. He said, "Are you happy?" And I'm a very happy person, but at that point I said, "You know what, not really. I'm working and sleeping." He's like, "Do you like to travel?" "I love to travel." And long story short, went to his office, and very quickly, a few weeks later, I was in Marine Corps boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina. Pretty much because the seed that was planted, that I knew if nothing changed, nothing was going to change. And I had to have something dramatic happen to pull me out of that trajectory, or else I too would have woken up 20 years later, probably in the same spot. Yes, I would have escalated through the ranks. Yes, I would have been promoted and all that fun stuff. However, I just knew there was a different path for my life. So I'm planting that seed for you to just not dramatically and drastically shake up your life where you have to go join the Marine Corps or something crazy like that, but recognize the fact and recognize the reality that if nothing changes, nothing changes. It would be foolish of me, foolish of you to think if I continue down this path, something different's going to occur. It's going to be the same, more of the same. So I created the URL that you saw at this page. So thesimplifier.com, if-nothing-changes. So thesimplifier.com, if-nothing-changes will bring you to a brief form that will ask you some simple questions. Are you happy? Would you be happy if you woke up 20 years from now on the same trajectory? And what would be a must for you to change, and things like that. Just to basically start asking yourself questions that maybe you haven't been asking yourself, because we are living the life that we're living right now based upon the questions we're asking, and we'll be living a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the life that we're living based upon the questions we ask ourselves today. So I'm challenging you to think a little bit out of the box, to ruffle your feathers a little bit, to think a little more forward thinking than you might be thinking on a regular basis. 20 years from now, like, would you be okay if you're on the same trajectory? Because when I asked that question, or thought about it when that person posed it to me, the answer was absolutely not. And if your answer is absolutely not, then change is imminent. It's time to stop suppressing it and start thinking about how you can explore different possibilities, different trajectories for you and your future. So go to thesimplifier.com/if-nothing-changes, the URL that was there in the description here, and have some fun. Think outside the box. Expand beyond the current limitations that you have, and watch how, just as you're living the life that you are now, based upon the questions you're asking yourself, those questions can lead to a different trajectory, lead to a different outcome for you 20 years in the future, just as myself 20 plus years ago definitely changed the trajectory, thanks to that person asking me those questions and posing that potential future for me. So go check it out. That's just my way of doing some of the work I'm doing to answer some of the difficult questions I'm asking myself, to ensure that the trajectory I'm on is exactly where I intend it to go. Living life intentionally versus by default is huge and very powerful. Now, if you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans, right? So plans don't always go as planned, yet it is better to lead a life of intention, from my perspective, than have life kind of push you around. And that's where the questions that you ask yourself will play a huge role in getting you the clarity and the answers necessary to put you on the trajectory and path you're capable of. So go to thesimplifier.com/if-nothing-changes. Play around with that, expand your mind, and I look forward to sharing more helpful information with you in the near future. Hope this is helpful to you. If you aren't in the app yet, what are you waiting for? While you're there, go to thesimplifier.com and register for the app for more powerful videos to help you take your life from where you are to where you want it to be. Talk with you soon. Make today great. Bye for now.